Radio Retro Future.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is Bansert of Radio Retro Future, and today I want to make a quick vlog about my experiences this weekend on the Rusted Leather film project, which was a 48-hour movie project that is being filmed on Elfia. Right now they are editing the footage that was shot at a Dutch convention, I think one of the biggest in Europe, called Elfia, if not the biggest. And during the script writing on Friday night, I realized something while I was working with all these actors and filmmakers who have nothing in common with steampunks. They are not makers, they are not interested in steampunk whatsoever. Just the director of the whole thing, or I should say the producer of the whole thing, wanted to make something steampunk inspired. And they said, okay, it's as simple as that. So I was there with all these people who did not understand what it was. They had seen images, of course. We were at the steampunk inspired cafe called Goggles. Has all kinds of pieces of a very well known Dutch steam maker called Marcel Bonen, I think. I think most of it was his work. And we just sat there and started writing the script. There was a kind of a discussion because it was a contest. So we had all these boundaries and limitations we had to work with. We decided on the theme Western, which was one of the suggested themes we'd use. So we started writing on it, and he had a script, and then it was like, yeah, well, is this steampunk enough? Then I decided, we can make a little bit of all references to old-timey movies, like silent movies. Create that atmosphere that steampunks like so much. Then one of them said, well, isn't that a little bit too cliche? Isn't that a little bit too old-fashioned? A little bit too much references to pop culture. And I was like, well, the thing with steampunk is, it kind of is like pop culture, only in the past. Then I stopped myself for a while. Steampunk is pop culture in the past. I know it's a weird way of describing it, but when you think about it, it's very apt. I mean, steampunk draws a lot of inspiration from pop culture to begin with. I mean, we draw inspiration from movies as early as Metropolis and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Basically, what steampunk did is made the style its own. So it's kind of funny when people are talking about, oh, steampunk is being stolen and big companies are taking too much liberty with the genres and steampunk and what else. For me, it's getting harder and harder to see where does pop culture end and steampunk begin. And from that point on, where does steampunk end and pop culture begin? Because a lot more people in the film industry are, getting, oh, the steampunk, we can do stuff with that. And Steven Spielberg is said to be working on something. So I think it's rather interesting that we should analyze our relationship with pop culture a lot more and realize that steampunk hasn't really created that many new things. I mean, lots of its inspiration comes from history to start with, giving its own twists on that. But a lot of it is steampunk interpretations of existing media. You're not saying that's a bad thing. No, that's a good thing. A lot of modern media could use a little steampunk touch. For that reason, it's interesting to see what kind of conclusions I can read when I'm talking to people who are not interested in steampunk. It's something I really want to encourage, because to be quite honest with you, I have a lot more success with people who originally came from outside of the steampunk community than people within the steampunk community. And I think that, to be quite frank, I think the steampunk community is quite settled in its ways in what steampunk is. And I really think it should try and actively find people from outside of the steampunk community and collaborate with them. Because by approaching people like that actively, I think we can draw in a lot of people who will say, well, wait, we can do something with this. And I see this with, for example, Ragtag, when I started that. I barely get any people from within the steampunk community. People I attracted did know what it was, but they had no real interest in steampunk to begin with. They knew it existed, they knew what it was, but they never looked at it in a way that is like, I want to do something with this. But then I started Ragtag, and instead of drawing its attention to steampunk, I drew its attention to, we're going to do an act for children. and was like, oh, you're going to do something with children? And it's going to be in a steampunk style? Sure, I'll do that. So they went in with a completely different motivation, with a completely different drive and passion. And I think it's important we focus more on that. Instead of saying, yeah, let's do something steampunk. No, let's make a product, create an activity, and make that steampunk, and see what kind of people that will attract. And with that, I want to put an end to my rant for today. I'm afraid I will repeat myself if I continue. So please keep in mind that steampunk is very much based on pop culture. We have not created anything really that new. We just gave it a unique spin. If we continue on that path, we'll just be rehashing ourselves. Try to think of activities that will attract people from outside of the community and let them have a go with it. See what they come up with. See what their creativity will bring to the scene. I was Bunsert, and as always, make it your way.